Alongside Miranda Kahn, J.D. Hayworth welcoming you back to Newsmax Prime. You know, religious liberty remains very much in the news. We just saw it played out with Kentucky County Clerk Kim Davis refusing to issue same-sex marriage licenses because of her spiritual convictions.
Yeah, some believe this is just one example of Christian faith coming under assault in today's world. And one man has now taken it upon himself to share stories like the one about Kim Davis in hopes it will inspire a culture he believes has simply lost its way. And he's done so in a new book.
Let's welcome in Tony Perkins. He's the president of the Family Research Council and author of the new book, No Fear, Real Stories of a Courageous New Generation Standing for Truth. And Tony Skypes in from Washington, D.C. Tony, the Reverend Franklin Graham says your book is a masterpiece. And I want to get to some of that in just a minute, but we would be remiss if we did not talk about what looms ahead for us, and that is this upcoming election in 2016. In your mind, what happens to religious liberty if the wrong candidate becomes president?
Well, J.D., Miranda, so thank you for letting me come on your program today. I actually think this is a central issue and should be a central issue in the 2016 election. Not just domestic religious freedom, but we have seen over the last 24 months in particular, under the leadership of President Obama, how religious persecution has spread like wildfire around the globe, and America has basically sat on the sidelines and been silent. And for Americans, we understand this is a fundamental, this is our first freedom. All of our other freedoms, freedom of speech, freedom of association, hinge on this one freedom, and it is something we absolutely must defend, and we must expect and require our elected leaders to lead the way.
Now, Tony, you say this is a central issue, but how big of a role do you think it will actually play in 2016?
Well, it's already playing a role, as you mentioned earlier with Kim Davis in Kentucky. Two presidential candidates were there on the scene this past week on Tuesday. I was actually down there, met with her and her husband before she was released. You know, the other candidates were commenting on it. So this is going to be a big issue. As we've seen, the court, 5 lawyers on the Supreme Court have created this dilemma, where you see this conflict between a new right that they have created and a fundamental, clearly enumerated right of the freedom of religion, the ability to exercise your religion. The left wants to quarantine this within the 4 walls of our churches, and that is not the freedom of religion. The freedom of religion is the ability to live your life according to your faith. We should be free to believe and live according to those beliefs.
And Tony, you mentioned the fact you were over in Kentucky as Mike Huckabee and Ted Cruz were there, but another candidate, when we take a look at some of the polling, is leading the pack. That would be Donald Trump. What impact do you believe Mr. Trump has had with the evangelical community and prospective evangelical voters?
Well, I think, J.D., what we're seeing is Donald Trump is reflective of the frustration and the angst that exist among voters, and that includes social conservative evangelical voters. They're tired of the politics as usual. They're tired of the promises never becoming reality. Whether that's fair or not, you know, I understand we've got divided government. We've got Barack Obama, who is ideologically opposed to everything that conservatives stand for. However, the bigger issue is they don't see Republicans fighting for those things. And here they see Donald Trump, who gets up unfettered by political correctness, speaking the things that, not necessarily the things that they're at the top of their list or the things that they're necessarily concerned about, but they're just, it's refreshing to them to see someone who is not being choked back by the media or by the political class, because they feel this pressure of being throttled back, choked back, muzzled by the political correctness that has invaded our culture. So this is, I think, a first impression of Donald Trump. They like somebody who's challenging the status quo, but I think ultimately as they begin to listen to him and his positions, I'm not sure that support remains.
Well, in the 30 seconds that we have remaining, Tony, who do you think is the best candidate for evangelical voters, if not Trump?
Well, Miranda, actually, there's a lot to choose from. There's several very well-qualified candidates. We talked about Mike Huckabee.
Cruz, Huckabee.
Well, Ted Cruz, Mike Huckabee, Bobby Jindal, you've got Rick Santorum, you've got Marco Rubio. So there's quite a bit to choose from.
And we've got to bring you back to talk more about the book, Tony. We got caught up talking about the here and now. Another name we might add to that list, and again, Tony is the author of the book No Fear, and I have no fear in mentioning this name, Dr. Ben Carson. He's also rising in the polls. In fact, in some surveys, he's tied with Donald Trump. His #1 New York Times bestseller is entitled One Nation. You can get a copy of this book for free, just pay handling. And here's the way you can get a copy of Dr. Ben Carson's book, One Nation. Call 1-800-655-7567. Or go to the web and log in at newsmax.com/Ben. There's more ahead here on Newsmax Prime, and we'll be back right after this.